Hello, and welcome to 12-Minute Meditation, a weekly podcast from Mindful and Mindful.org that offers mindfulness meditations backed by neuroscience. If you've been practicing, you know that 12 minutes of meditation a day can yield benefits like increased attention, focus, creativity, calm, resilience, and compassion. The latest scientific research supports this knowledge. So, on this podcast, we invite you to do your 12-minute practice with guided meditations from today's leading mindfulness experts. There's a new practice each week and a new way to experience some of those benefits day to day. I'm Chelsea Arsenal, and I'm the Director of Advertising at Mindful and Mindful.org. And earlier this year, we partnered with WholeSchool Mindfulness to create a series of guided meditations to support young people. And with the new school year beginning for many people, we'll be sharing one of these today. But that being said, anyone can benefit from this guided meditation. Today, Adam Ortman leads us in a guided meditation to cultivate kinder self-talk. You see, our inner voice often constructs a limited narrative that obscures the full picture of our experiences. By paying close attention to this inner voice, especially when it tends to focus on negative thoughts, we can begin to nurture a habit of self-compassion. Think of your inner voice as the story we tell ourselves, shaping your perception of reality, much like virtual reality goggles. Well, this practice encourages us to explore that inner voice, seeking ways to expand our perspective and experience a newfound sense of freedom. Adam Ortman has been a mindfulness and meditation teacher for people of all ages for over a decade. He has supported a number of schools in the creation and strengthening of their mindfulness programs and has led workshops and retreats around the U.S. for educators seeking to incorporate mindfulness into their communities and was a core consultant in the creation of WholeSchool Mindfulness. You can subscribe to 12-Minute Meditation while you're on mindful.org or wherever you find your favorite podcast. And if you're moved to leave us a review, we'd be grateful. And so will other listeners. See, your review helps them decide whether 12-minute meditation is for them. But for now, for you, here's Adam Ortman.
Hi, my name is Adam Ortman. I've been teaching mindfulness and meditation to people of all ages for over a decade. And so today I wanted to bring you a practice that explores self-talk and the inner voice. You can say that the inner voice is the language or talk inside of our minds that we use to tell the story of what's happening to ourselves. It can kind of function like virtual reality goggles, where when we put them on, sometimes it's hard to actually see what's there. It's like a version of reality that might not be the whole story. But if we can start to see around the edges of those goggles, then our world expands. We experience a bit more freedom. Things start to feel new. And so this practice will be a process of exploring that voice and exploring how to see around its edges. Okay, so as we begin, I encourage you to find a posture that feels comfortable for you. We're going to be paying close attention in this practice. And so it's a good idea to find a posture that allows you to feel awake and maybe even a little bit energized. You can have your eyes open or closed. And for this first part of the practice, we're just going to start to explore our inner voice as it helps us to pay attention. And so I'll encourage you to use some phrases to help you notice your breath. And so as you breathe in, I encourage you to think the words inhale body. As you breathe out, thinking the words exhale body. So for a few breaths, finding an inhale and an exhale that feel comfortable, see if you can keep this phrase, inhale body on the breath in, exhale body on the breath out, sort of at the forefront of your mind. And then we can shift that phrase, inhale belly, as you breathe in, and exhale belly as you breathe out. And then inhale chest and exhale chest. And then inhale nose and exhale nose. And now I encourage you to choose your favorite phrase: body, belly, chest, nose, and stick with it just for a few moments. As you do this, you'll notice that your inner voice can be useful. It can help us frame what's happening. It can even help direct our attention to something we want to pay attention to. Now we're going to explore a bit more about this voice. So as I talk, see if you can stick with the inhale and exhale process. But we're going to play. And so as you think that word, inhale, and that word, exhale, does it seem as though that voice is coming from a certain location? Is it coming from somewhere inside of your head, somewhere outside of your head? Where do you notice it? Does it have a certain sound to it? So does it sound like your voice? Like somebody else's voice? Does it have a volume? Is it loud or is it quiet? Does it change its volume? Now we'll see if we can shape it. So for the next couple of breaths, see if you can think that word or phrase in a really deep voice, like a voice that's deeper than yours. And then see if you can think that phrase in a really high voice, a voice that's a lot higher than yours. And see if you can think that voice in a singing voice. So, singing however you'd like. Sing the inhale in your mind and sing the exhale. And then back to whatever kind of voice you'd like, whether it's a voice that sounds like your own or something else. And so when we do this, we notice that we do have some control over our inner voice when we choose to exert that control. We can shape it a bit. We can shape what it says and even what it sounds like. But maybe you've noticed as you've been doing this practice that the inner voice we choose is not the only inner voice. Maybe distracting thoughts have been arising for you. Maybe occasionally you forget the inhale and the exhale, and some other voice comes in. Am I doing it right? Or when this is going to be over? Or something completely outside of what you're doing. So there's the voice we intend, and then there's the voice that seems to play on autopilot. So we're going to do a final little practice in which we see if we can tell the difference between the intended voice and the autopilot voice. And so before we get there, we'll kind of reset because we've been at this for a little bit. And so if your eyes are closed, I encourage you to open them for a moment. And if they're open, maybe look around. And maybe let yourself shake one hand and shake the other hand. Maybe let yourself roll your shoulders a little bit, sway your spine. Maybe roll your neck. Just kind of bounce out the energy from what we just did. Okay, great. And so we're going to find a posture again that feels energized, awake, helps us attend. We're going to return to feeling the breath. And so maybe as you breathe in, you notice it in your whole body, or your belly, or your chest, or your nose. As you breathe out, you feel that space in your body settling, softening, releasing. And so here, maybe just very, very softly, the word in on a breath in. Very, very softly, the word out on a breath out. But here, what we're going to be on the lookout for is any other voice, any other inner talk that might arise. Any talk that we don't actually intend, anything that's different from the in and the out. Anytime you notice another voice like that, just pause for a moment and see if you can notice it. Does it seem like a kind voice? Is it a harsh voice? Is it neutral? Does it seem like nonsense? Does it not actually have anything to do with anything? However that voice is, just see if you can notice that it's not reality. It's just a voice. It's focused on one little sliver of reality when it could be focused on something else. You can choose whether you give that voice energy or not, whether it's pointing you in a direction you want to look or somewhere you really don't want to pay attention to. And so just a moment with the in and the out of the breath, and just picking up on any time when a voice sneaks in that's not the in or the out. Just to notice it, not to silence it, not to give it energy, just to see if you can pick it up into your attention. So when we have a voice in our mind that feels harsh or critical, the fastest way to soothe it isn't with more harshness or criticism, or even by trying to silence it or push it away. The fastest way to soothe that voice is to notice that it isn't you, to offer it some kindness, and to come back to the present moment. So let's try that now. Letting yourself breathe in and out, finding a soothing breath. And anytime another voice comes into your mind, maybe it's actually always there, notice it. Actually turn your attention to that voice for a moment and say inwardly, "Thank you for trying to help." Thank you for trying to help. Offer that voice an inward smile, and then return to the present moment. And so here, the present moment is just noticing whether you're breathing in or whether you're breathing out. And then maybe a next voice arises, or that same voice continues. Thank you for trying to help. An inward smile, and back to the present. So the more we practice noticing our thoughts in this way, the more choice we have over the thoughts we energize. We may not totally get rid of our inner critic, but that's not the point. Our goal here is to see if we can peek outside of the VR goggles and see that there's a whole world beyond what fits inside of our thoughts. We can visit it whenever we choose to. And so coming back into the room that you're in, maybe noticing the other sounds around, noticing what you can see and anything that looks delightful that you enjoy looking at. And noticing the settling quality of your own breath. Good job.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 12-Minute Meditation from Mindful and Mindful.org. I hope you enjoyed practicing with us. We'll be back in 7 days with another meditation for you.